Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, February 25th, and it's a special edition of the MMA OB Daily Podcast with myself, your host, as always, Adam Martin, and my co-host, as always, Cole Shelton, to break down this weekend's UFC event, which is UFC Norfolk. Cole, how's it going, man?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Cole, I'm doing pretty good, dude. Pretty good weekend of combat sports for sure, man. A lot of fights. UFC, Bellator, boxing, so it's pretty good. I know you watched the big boxing match. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Cole, what are your thoughts about that and the rematch or trilogy fight, I should say. But let's start with UFC Norfolk. Give our predictions for this card. Before we get into the card, give me your initial thoughts on it and turn it up MMA in the chat right now. What's up, gentlemen? What's up, man? Cole, give me your thoughts on this card, man. It's not that good, honestly.
It's not a good card. So I was doing some research on this card for this, and I found out there's only two ranked fighters on this card, and that's the main event. There's no other ranked fighters on this card. I mean, maybe you can count Felicia Spencer and Megan Anderson, but there's no featherweight rankings. So they technically don't have a number beside their name, but two ranked fighters, and that's the main event fighting for the title. It's not a good card. Like, I think the UFC is kind of focusing on 248 right now, and this card just kind of one they just kind of threw in there.
Yeah, and the thing about this card is making UFC history, MMA history, I guess, but UFC history. First card in UFC history to fall on a leap day. So that's pretty interesting. We don't usually have a card on February 29th, so it's pretty weird. Anyways, cool. Let's get into this card. We got 12 fights this weekend to break down, to give our picks on. Let's start with the prelims or work our way up. As always, we'll start with the first fight of the night. Isbel Nardiev against Sean Brady, welterweight bout. Odds right now, Nardiev minus 140 for the Austrian Wonder Boy and Sean Brady plus 120. Give me your pick.
I'm actually going to go with the underdog and Sean Brady here. I know Nardiev, he's looked good. He beat Michael Prazeres, which was a really good win. Beat Sahar in his last fight. But that Chance Ren counter loss, like, he didn't look very good in that fight. He was a huge favorite. Sean Brady, undefeated, 11-0, was coming off a really impressive UFC debut against Court McGee. He's good all around. He has good ground game, good power. I think he's striking wise. I think he's better than Nardiev. I think if he can keep this fight standing, I think he can have a lot of success. Nardiev, I think he needs to use his wrestling here, but I think Brady might be able to keep it up on the feet. I think Brady can get the decision win here.
Yeah, this is a close fight call, honestly. Like, I can see it going either way, to be honest. Nardiev has looked pretty good at times, man. He beat CR, and he also beat Prazeres. Those are good wins. He did lose to Rencounter. Rencounter is actually a pretty underrated fighter, pretty big for that division too. So he did lose that fight, but I think overall it's looked good. Brady had that win over McGee. Looked okay in that fight. Not the greatest performance, but it was his UFC debut. I'm pretty high on Sean Brady. I think he is a good prospect. However, Nardiev is also a really good prospect. He's a little bit younger, which I like. He has UFC experience, which I like. He has more experience, which I like. So I'm going to lean towards Nardiev a little bit. I think he can edge on a decision here, but man, this is a close fight. I wouldn't personally bet on this fight because I really could see it going either way, but I do lean a little bit towards Isbel Nardiev just due to the UFC experience. Next up, we have a featherweight bout. Elon Cruz against Spike Carlisle. Elon Cruz minus 175, Spike Carlisle plus 155. Carlisle took the fight on short notice for Steven Peterson. Give me your pick on this one.
Yeah, it's also interesting that Carlisle's a natural lightweight and he's dropping down to featherweight on short notice. I'm kind of skeptical on that because already short notice fight, you're already skeptical, then dropping down 10 pounds like his last two fights been at lightweight, then one was a 150-pound catch weight. So he hasn't made featherweight in a while. I think Elon Cruz, he obviously had that really nice flying knee over Stephen Wynn. He didn't impress me too much on the contenders. I think it was more just the finish because it was kind of highly real finish got in the contract. So I'm not too high on Cruz, but just him being a featherweight, Carlisle taking this fight on short notice, cutting down the extra weight. I'll take Cruz by decision. Maybe he could score a knockout, but again, this is a fight I probably wouldn't bet on just because I'm not really high on either guy.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on this one. This was another fight I personally wouldn't bet on either. I know I've been saying that quite a bit lately, but I mean, when there's not that much information on guys, why would you risk your hard-earned money on them? You know, in this particular case, like, there's no point in betting this fight, in my opinion. Like, Elon Cruz probably does win, but like, I wouldn't lay juice on a guy like this. You know, I'm with you, Cole. I wasn't too impressed with the Win fight. He did get the flying knee knockout in that fight. Good for him. But, you know, I think Dana White last year, he just kind of got really excited when he saw guys score these knockouts, and he signed a bunch of guys. And I don't know if this guy's really UFC caliber, to be completely honest. I do like the win over Steve Garcia, who also is on this card. I like that win. That is a solid win, though, because I think that guy's actually a really good fighter. Carlisle, I mean, I don't know a ton about him. I know he has had some nice wins on LFA, but the short notice combined with the weight class switcheroo here, I don't know about that either, Cole. I'm going to lean towards Alan Cruz, but again, not a confident pick, guys, and I personally wouldn't bet on this fight. Cruz by decision probably, but not betting on this one. Next up, give me your pick for TJ Brown versus Jordan Griffin. The odds on this featherweight bout have Jordan Griffin -140, TJ Brown +120.
Yeah, TJ Brown's actually one of the guys at the Contender Series I was pretty impressed with. Has a lot of fights. He has a lot of experience. He's really good on the ground. He has a lot of submission wins, but then he has a lot of knockout power. Like his head kick over Ken Beverly in LFA, that kind of went around Twitter for a bit. Jordan Griffin just 0-2 in the UFC, losses to Dan Ige and Chaz Skelly. Obviously, those you can't really complain about those losses. And then he's a good guy on the ground too. He has a lot of submission wins, but I just think on striking wise, I think Brown's a better striker. And normally when you have two good ground guys, it's going to be a kickboxing fight. So I favor Brown striking, so I think Brown get it done by decision.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad for Griffin. I think he's had kind of a tough run. The fight with Ige, I mean, that guy is obviously really good now. And there was a close fight. The Skelly fight was pretty competitive too, but he did lose those two fights. TJ Brown, though, a nice little win streak here. 4 fights in a row, Cole, finishing guys, 2 head kick knockouts, 2 arm triangle chokes. This guy's finishing people everywhere. He's a very, very dangerous fighter, and he has a lot more momentum coming in this fight. And like you said, Cole, he has quite a bit of experience. Actually, Griffin has a little bit more, but Brown, this is his chance to shine, man. I think he can win this fight, Cole. I actually think there's value on him possibly as a dog here. Again, you can't go too crazy considering it's his UFC debut. You don't want to go too nuts on this, but I think this fight, probably the odds should be flipped around with Cruz or Brown as a slight favorite here. So give me TJ Brown, man. I don't know if he gets a finisher, Cole, because Griffin's very tough to finish, but it's possible he could submit him maybe. But my pick is going to be TJ Brown. I do think he wins this fight, and it should be an interesting fight to watch. It should be a pretty exciting battle. Next up, we have a heavyweight bout between Marcin Tybura and Sergey Spivak. Right now, we have Spivak -120, Tybura +100. Cole, give me your pick in this fight between low-level heavyweights.
I think Sergey Spivak. I just think he's a bit better. He's a bit all well-rounded. He has pretty good striking, knocked a few guys out, and he has really good ground game. A lot of his wins are over by submission. Like he submitted Tai Tuivasa in his last fight. He has a win over Travis Fulton, which if you don't know who that is, that guy has probably the most fights in MMA. Like he has 255 wins. So
yeah,
Spivak is I think he's better on the ground. I think he's going to try to take this fight down on the ground. Tybura is coming off 2 straight knockout losses. Lost to Shamil Abdurakhimov and then lost to Augustus Sakai pretty quick. 3 of his past 4 losses come by stoppage by knockout. I think Spivak can take his fight down to the ground, just ground and pound Tybura out and earn a ground pound TKO in probably in the 2nd or 3rd round.
Man, I guess the winner of this fight might get ranked. I thought Spivak was ranked, and then I checked, and he's not in the rankings anymore. I think Gon took his spot at 15, which makes sense to me. But yeah, I mean, Spivak is coming off a nice win over today, so I did pick him in that. I think I picked him in that. I can't remember now, but I said he had a good chance to win that one at least. And this guy does have decent amount of experience. Cole, like you said, Travis Fulton. I mean, listen, Travis Fulton is a journeyman to say the least, but that's not a bad win to have in your resume as a young fighter. And Tony Lopez is another guy who's a journeyman, but that's not a bad win to have. He's finishing these guys. Tybura has fought a higher level competition. There's no doubt about it. He's been in the UFC for 3 or 4 years now. But Cole, the losing streak concerns me, man. He's lost 4 of his last 5. The one win against Struve, that's not even a good win in my opinion anymore. This guy he's getting knocked out every fight now. And I just think he's lost his confidence, man. A few years ago, I would have absolutely picked Tybura here, but I don't think I could pick him this time. Again, not a confident pick. Heavyweight fight. Anyone can get knocked out.
And low-level heavyweights.
Low-level heavyweights. And we should mention, Spivak got knocked out by Walt Harris last year, Cole. It's not that far removed from that knockout loss in 50 seconds. So my pick's going to be Spivak. I do think he probably knocks Tybura out here, to be honest with you. Maybe ground and pound or just straight-up knockout. But, Cole, I'm not betting on this fight, man. 2 low-level heavyweights. You're going to bet your hard-earned money on these guys? I don't think so. I wouldn't do that. Next up, this is an interesting fight, Cole. In my opinion, this probably should be in the main card, but it's on the prelims. Brendan Allen against Tom Breeze. I really like this fight. Brendan Allen, or Tom Breeze right now actually is a -135 favorite. Brendan Allen +115 underdog. Give me your pick.
Yeah, it's a really interesting fight. Tom Breeze, it was kind of weird. He was a guy that a lot of people thought was going to be kind of that next Bisping, maybe next UFC champion from Britain. He had a lot of hype behind him, especially of his first couple fights in the UFC. And then he just hasn't fought at all. He's had those anxiety problems where he had to pull out on the day of the fights. He pulled out against Cesar Ferreira, or he pulled out against Ian Heinisch. It was due to the day of the fight. I favor Brendan Allen here just because Breeze hasn't fought since May of 2018. It's been a long time since he fought. Brendan Allen's looked good. He's looked impressive. Really good ground game. Submitted Kevin Hall in his UFC debut. Submitted Aaron Jeffrey on the Contender Series, who's probably one of the better Canadian prospects. His only 3 losses, they're in to Trevin Giles, Eric Anders, and Anthony Hernandez, who are all in the UFC. He's still young and comes from a good gym in Rufus Sport. I think Brendan Allen can win this fight, and I wouldn't even be surprised if he were to submit or finish Tom Breeze.
Yeah, this is a good fight. I mean, both these guys are good fighters. Tom Breeze, I don't know what's going on with this guy, man. He hasn't fought in almost 2 years now. He had some sort of like anxiety attack at one point. I can't remember what fight it was, Cole. I think it was the Ian Heinisch fight.
He pulled out the day after, like the day of the fight, because he weighed in and then he pulled out.
It says Breeze removed due to health concerns. Yeah, I'm looking at Tapology right now. He's been injured a few times too, but he at one point was a really good prospect, and a lot of us thought this guy could go far in this division. But again, hasn't fought in 2 years. I don't know what's going on with that. If you look at his win score, all his wins are against guys right now that are not in the UFC anymore. I mean, his last win against Dan Kelly, he did have only one loss against Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland's a good fighter. I don't know what's going on with Sean Strickland, man. He was a really good prospect too. Brendan Allen, though, very impressive. Cole, very young, 24. I did pick against Kevin Holland. I thought he'd win that fight. He looked great in that fight, and he's won 5 straight fights. And his 2 losses to UFC guys, Anders and Hernandez, not bad losses. Hasn't been finished yet. I just like he's been more active since. Look at this, Cole. Since Breeze's last fight, Allen has had 5 fights. And to me, that is a big difference. He's getting experience. He's getting his reps in while Breeze has been sitting home. I don't know what's going on with Breeze. I really hope the guy feels better. This is a tough sport, man, as it is. And if you have like anxiety to go along with it, Cole, like that's brutal, so I can't pick him. I really can't. I just hope this fight doesn't get canceled the day up because it's happened a few times to Tom Breeze now, Cole. My pick's going to be Brendan Allen for the upset, man. I think there is value on him. He should be favored, in my opinion, in this fight as well, just based on Breeze's layoff. So give me Brendan Allen. I don't know if he finishes Tom Breeze. Tom Breeze is very tough to finish, but it's possible he can get submission. But if not, I think he just grinds the decision out. It should be a good fight, though. And I think it should have probably been on the main card. Next up, we have Gabriel Silva against Kyler Phillips in a bantamweight bout. Gabriel Silva, minus 130, Kyler Phillips, plus 110. Give me your pick.
I have Gabriel Silva here. I know he's coming on. Obviously, he lost his debut to Ray Borg. Ray Borg's a really good fighter. And it's kind of interesting because Kyler Phillips, his UFC debut was supposed to be against Ray Borg in Philly, and then Phillips had to pull out. But Ray Borg's kind of interesting. Like, he has a nice win in LFA, but he's won 1 in his last 2 fights, and before that was on the Contender or on Ultimate Fighter when he lost to Brad Katona. It's like he hasn't been too impressive to me. And Gabriel Silva, like, he has UFC experience. He been against Ray Borg, who was high level. I just think the Octagon experience, the higher level competition. I think this is a fight that Silva can win. I think he's an edge out decision over Phillips.
Yeah, this is a close fight too. Another one I would not recommend betting on. I don't think a lot of us are giving Kyler Phillips probably his due here because I've seen everyone picking Gabriel Silva, and I think I'm going to have to pick him too, just based on the fight with Borg. He has been in the cage, in the UFC Octagon, I should say, and against a high-level guy, much better fighter than anyone Kyler Phillips has fought. If you look at Kyler Phillips' resume, Cole, like, his competition has not been very good. It's been pretty low-level guys. For the most part, he's looked pretty impressive, but against low competition, what does that mean, right? At least Silva's been fighting guys with decent records here. My pick's going to be Gabriel Silva by decision. I think you could probably edge this fight out, but again, not a fight I personally recommend betting on between 2 guys that, quite frankly, we don't know a ton about. Final prelim on the card, and this fight was just announced yesterday. We don't have odds for this fight, but I'm assuming Luis Pena will be favored slightly over Steve Garcia, as Luis Pena was going to be favored over Alex Munoz. I actually was going to pick Alex Munoz in that fight.
Yeah, that would have been. I was really looking for. That was probably the one fight I was really looking forward to. Like, Munoz is a guy I'm really high on. He's the guy he just got on. He's Uriah Favors gym. He's Team Alpha Male guy. Like, he's a really good prospect. I honestly was thinking about picking Munoz. Like, that was going to be a really good fight.
Oh, I would have picked Munoz for sure, and he was actually going to be probably like one of my recommended dog plays. But fight's not happening, so it is what it is. But yeah, Pena now against Garcia. Again, no odds. I do assume that Pena will be favored due to the fact he's supposed to fight this card. But we should mention Steve Garcia was supposed to fight this weekend or next weekend at LFA, Cole. So he was in a training camp right now. Luis Pena, 2-2 in the UFC, Ultimate Fighter veteran, of course. Coming off a split decision loss to Matt Freville, a very close fight. Some people thought he won that fight. He also has that dominating win over Matt Wyman last year, just a brutal win. And he also beat Steven Peterson, and he has the loss to Mike Trezano. And he's actually 3-2. He beat Richie Small in his Ultimate Fighter fight, not in the at the finale, but not in the finale. He didn't make it to the end because of an injury in the show. But overall, I mean, the guy's pretty solid, 7-2. And Cole, he trains at American Kickboxing Academy. He trains at Habib every day. So this guy's getting in really good reps. Steve Garcia, 11-3 record, 27 years old, and 4-fight win streak. He's a Jackson Wink guy. He's coming off a couple straight knockout wins here. I don't know these guys too well. Jose Marcel and Desmond Torres, who I actually have heard of. He is a former Bellator veteran. He has quite a bit of fights in Bellator. He does have a knockout win over Sean Bunch from 2013. He did fight Joe Warren in 2017. He also has that fight against Elon Cruz who's on this card. He has a win over Ken Moy, who's like not a bad fighter. This guy's quite a bit of experience. But honestly, man, I was really impressed with him on the show last year. He looked amazing on the Contender Series when he knocked out Torres. A great win. He didn't make weight, though. I don't think he's going to make weight for this fight, Cole, personally. On the short notice, and it's a big guy for this division, I think he's going to miss weight. So we'll see what happens. I mean, even if he misses weight, he actually might still win the fight because this guy actually has a lot of power in his striking. He's a good fighter, man. I got to go with Pena, though, Cole, just the wrestling. I think that's going to be the difference. Give me Pena win the decision. I'd like to see the odds for this before I recommend the play, but I do think Pena probably grinds it out. I just think you guys got to realize Steve Garcia is a dangerous guy, and he's not to be taken lightly here. Give me your pick.
Yeah, even with like you mentioned Pena's at AKA, but so when Habib fought Conor, like Pena was Habib's main guy. That's what he worked with every single day. Pena tried to imitate Conor. And it's not even like he's been at AKA his whole career. He was on The Ultimate Fighter. Daniel Cormier was his coach. And Daniel Cormier saw something special in him, and he's like, you're coming to train at AKA with me full time. And Daniel Cormier's kind of been like a mentor to him since The Ultimate Fighter, which is obviously really good. I think Pena is going to win this fight. I just think he's the bigger guy. He's obviously has a good reach. I think it's 4 or 5 inch reach advantage over Garcia. He has a reach advantage over everyone. I think he can just use that jab, just pick up Garcia. I don't think he's going to finish Garcia. I think he's just going to get a decision win.
Yeah, it should be a pretty good fight goal. I actually am pretty high on Garcia. Just unfortunately, he had to take this fight at short notice. Anyways, moving up to the main card here, Cole. One of the biggest favorites on the card. We have a few like actual big favorites here, but for the men's fights, Grant Dawson is a -420 favorite against Derek Minner. Grant Dawson, the only question is, does he finish the fight or does he win decision? I personally think he finishes the fight, Cole. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he submits Derek Minner in the first round. Derek Minner, if you look at his past losses, on the Contender Series, submitted by Herbert Burns, then he lost by TKO, then submitted, decision, ground pound, submitted. He loses. Most of his losses are by submission. Grant Dawson's one of the really good at submit, really good on the ground. I think he'll take the fight down the ground with ease. Derek Minner stepping on short notice. I think Grant Dawson will get a first round session, probably a rear naked choke or triangle choke. That's how Grant Dawson's been winning lately, as a choke. So that's why with first round choke for Dawson.
I don't want to sound like a hater, but this guy shouldn't be in the UFC. I mean, look at his record, 24-10. I mean, he's got a lot of experience. Good for him. He's been grinding. Cole, this guy is so inconsistent. Why is he in the UFC? I mean, to me, like the fact this guy's on the card just shows that there's just too many fighters in the UFC now. Quite frankly, I don't see anything special about this dude, and I think Grant Dawson wipes the floor with him. Man, Grant Dawson's a really good prospect. Great ground game. He submits him. There's no prop on submission right now. You do have Dawson side distance -190. I'd rather wait for a submission prop. I think that's the only way this fight ends. Cole, Grant Dawson probably in the first round. By tap out. All right. Now, I got to get your thoughts on this fight because, honestly, man, I really have no idea how this is going to go. Megan Anderson against Norman Dumont. I don't know what to say about this one, Cole. Megan Anderson right now, -225. Norman Dumont, +185. I want to hear your thoughts on this, and I'll give my thoughts on the fight.
Yeah, my pick is Megan Anderson, but all the values on Norma Dumont. Like, Norma Dumont, she's only 4-0. She hasn't fought the best high-level competition. She hasn't fought since August of 2018. And who she's fought is 13-8, 0-2, 2-0, and 0-0. She hasn't fought any good, but 2 of those wins are by submission. And Megan Anderson on the ground, we've seen it before. We've seen it against Felicia Spencer. She is not that good on the ground. I think Norma Dumont can, if she's going to win this fight, it's going to be by submission. I just don't know enough about her. I don't think she's as good as Megan Anderson striking-wise or be able to get the fight down to the ground. So I'll have Megan Anderson by decision, but I would not be shocked if Dumont pulls off the upset because, frankly, like Megan Anderson's just been so inconsistent in the UFC to bet on.
I don't know, man. This is a tough one. Like, honestly, I really want to pick Dumont here because I'm not very high on Megan Anderson. Her ground game, I know she submitted her last opponent, but Cole, the Holly Holm fight, taken down, grinded out. The Felicia Spencer fight, taken down, submitted quickly. I watched tape on Dumont this morning. She is a pretty strong grappler. But the problem is, the fight I watched was against, I think it was this first one against, I can't remember who it was. It was either Lydian or the Bosa, but look at the records 0-0-0-2. Took the girl down. I think it was a body lock takedown. And then, like, a second later, the girl tapped out for a rear naked choke. It was pretty sad to watch, actually. I don't know, Cole. Like, I want to pick her. I really do. I think that this could be, one of those spots that makes you look smart, but she hasn't fought anyone good, so it's a shot in the dark if I pick this girl. I'm gonna be safe here, guys. I'm gonna take Megan Anderson. I'll take her to win. I'll take her to win by submission. Or maybe decision, actually, I should say. Because I just don't know how Dumont has where her flaws are. But I don't know, Cole. Like, I don't feel good about
let me ask you this. Say
Sure.
Dumont goes and submits Anderson. Do you think the UFC just cuts her? Like Megan Anderson? There's not many featherweights. Maybe at that point they just do Felicia Spencer Nunes final fight at featherweight. And then they just close down the division.
Man, I honestly don't even know. She's just been such a disappointment in the UFC. A lot of us thought she'd be like a contender. She does have that win over Zagano, but it was like a freak eye injury. She looked good in Invicta, though. We got to give her credit there. She looked really good. She was knocking everyone out. But again, even that competition wasn't that high level call. I don't know. Like, I'll be honest, guys, I might end up switching my pick by the end of the week because I just don't believe in Megan Anderson this level. But Dumont, again, no experience, Cole. She is 5 inches shorter, too. That is going to come and play a role in this one. I did watch her fight, though. She's a pretty thick girl. She's strong. Would you be surprised, Cole, if Dumont took down Anderson and submitted her?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't bet on this fight, guys. Do not bet on this fight. Not worth it. I'll pick Anderson, but I'm not betting on this one. All right, next up. I should mention quickly, there's a lot of questions here from Chris. And Chris, I really appreciate questions. We're going to finish the preview, then I'll answer your questions. All right, next up. Cole, this is a good fight. Two light heavyweight prospects. Ion Kutalaba against Magomed Ankalaev. Really good fight here. Ankalaev is favored right now at minus 190. Kutalaba plus 165. What do you like?
Yeah, this is a really good fight. This is a fight that outside the main event, this is probably the one I'm looking most forward to. It's two exciting guys, two people that get a lot of finishes. Jan Kutalaba, his last fight against Khalil Roundtree, I did not expect him to dominate Roundtree like that. Like, that was, especially after Roundtree's performance over Anders. Ankalaev, though, I have to go with Ankalaev. He's just more dangerous everywhere. I know he has that last second loss to Paul Craig, but he was dominating that fight. Like, it was a fight he probably should have won. He could have just probably lost one more second, but this fight, he has a lot of power. We've never seen Kutalaba be knocked out. You got one for he lost to a legal strike. So I think Ankalaev, I think he can maybe finish this fight by TKO because I think he has a lot of power. But if not, I still think he can get a decision. I think he's going to be a problem at light heavyweight for a lot of these like veteran guys. I think he's going to get a top 15 gatekeeper if he wins this one.
Yeah, I honestly was so down on him after he lost to Paul Craig because he was dominating that fight and then tapped out with 1 second left. Just one more second. And I know none of us were in that fight. We weren't in that choke. But one more second. And that really made me sour on this guy. But since then, Cole, he's looked great. Coming off a nice win over Dalka Luga Mambula by front kick. That was an awesome performance. Also beat Clifton Abreu, Marcin Prachnio. That fight with Craig was 2 years ago. I think he's learned a lot since then. He's in his prime now, 27. I'm very high on Ankalaev now. He's been nothing but impressive. Kutalaba is actually pretty good too, Cole. Another guy who's really improved over the years. Tough debut against Serkinov, kind of bounced around. But his losses, look who he's lost to, Cole. Serkinov, Jared Cannonier, and Glover Teixeira. Those are not bad losses at all. This guy is pretty underrated. Coming off a great win over Khalil Roundtree. Also has a nice win over Antigulov by knockout. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting fight. I got to favor Ankalaev, though. I've just been a little bit more high on this guy. I think it's going to be a war. I think they're going to strike with each other. I think Ankalaev probably finishes Kutalaba by strikes, but he could win a decision here as well. It should be a great fight, though. I'm very interested in watching this fight. I'm really looking forward to this one between these two light heavyweight prospects.
This should probably be co-main, too.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Spencer probably is just because title shot implications, Cole, I'm guessing. We didn't talk about this, but my guess, and I'm assuming you're going to agree with me on this, the more impressive of the two winners between Spencer and Anderson in those fights probably gets the title shot against Nunes. We'll see what happens, right? Is that what you're thinking? Or
we can get some Chris's question here. See, Chris has asked. I think Megan Anderson gets featherweight title shot first versus Nunes. Felicia Spencer probably in 2021. I think it's Felicia Spencer. When I talked to Spencer, she said there's a reason I'm co-main event and why Megan Anderson is 2 fights underneath me. She dominated Megan Anderson. I think there's no way Megan Anderson gets a shot against Felicia Spencer because I think Felicia Spencer could put up a better fight against Nunes. But I think no matter what, Nunes beats Spencer and Anderson. But I think even if Anderson gets a first round win and Spencer gets a decision win, I still think Spencer's getting the title shot.
I'm with you on that. Okay, so co-main event, Felicia Spencer, -800. Zarin Farron dos Santos, +550. How does Spencer win, Cole? Does she finish or does she win the decision?
I think she gets a first or second round submission win. She submitted Megan. I know MMA math doesn't always work, but she submitted Megan Anderson in the first round. Megan Anderson submitted Farron dos Santos in the first round.
Oh man,
I think Spencer's. I think she's gonna be the strong girl. I think striking wise, I think she showed a lot striking wise against Chris Cyborg. She can take a punch, and she landed some good punches against Chris Cyborg. She was the first person to cut Chris Cyborg. Like I know she lost the fight pretty handily, but she did have some success in that fight where I don't think Farron striking wise will be able to keep up with Spencer, and I don't think on the ground wise she'll be able to keep up with Spencer. So I think Spencer can finish this fight if she wants to ground pound TKO or submit her. I think it's going to be over in the first or second round.
Spencer by first round submission. I don't see the fight any other way. Maybe TKO ground and pound. Spencer wins this fight inside distance, Cole. I'm pretty confident in that one. All right, time for the main event of the evening. Vacant UFC flyweight title fight. Joseph Benavidez against Deiveson Figueiredo. Joseph Benavidez -150. Deiveson Figueiredo +130. Who's your pick to win the UFC vacant flyweight title?
I think it's Joseph Benavidez' time to finally be a UFC champion. I think this is going to be a really tough fight. Figueiredo has a lot of power. He has really good on the ground. He just submitted Tim Elliott. That was a really good performance. He's knocked out some guys. But Benavidez, I think he's just the better all-around fighter. I think striking-wise, I think he's the better technical striker. I think Figueiredo has more power, though. But Benavidez uses kicks very well. He uses head kicks really nicely. And then he sets up his striking with his wrestling to set up submissions or ground pound. I think Benavidez can probably finish this fight, but I think it's going to be pretty close. I think Benavidez will probably finish it in the fourth. We've never really seen Figueiredo go 5 rounds. So I wonder what his cardio is going to be like in those championship rounds. But we've seen Benavidez be in title fights before. He knows what it's like. I think Benavidez wins this fight by a 4th round stoppage.
Great fight. We're looking forward to this one. I got to go with Benavidez too. Just a better experience against higher level competition for over a decade. 5 round experience. That's huge here. He's fought and beaten pretty much everyone in the flyweight division except for Mighty Moscow. He even has to win over Henry Cejudo. I mean, that's a great win. Of course, that fight did have an illegal low blow that changed the course of the fight, and he probably would have lost the decision otherwise. But still, that is a huge win in your resume. The guy is, in my opinion, Cole, maybe one of the most underrated fighters in UFC history. I mean, he has not won a title yet, so that's kind of his fault in some way. But look who he had to fight, Cole, the 2 times he had a title shot. Demetrius Johnson. That's tough. I was at his first fight. I picked Demetrius Johnson in that fight, UFC 152, Jones versus Belfort. And he lost the split decision that night. It was a close fight. The rematch he got knocked out in. But the first fight was super close. And over the years, he's kind of had to grind his way back. You know, the Pettis loss notwithstanding, that fight, Cole, we got to keep in mind he was coming off like a year-long ACL injury layoff. And he lost a split to Pettis. But since then, he's looked great. The guy is just a beast. You know, Figueiredo, I got to talk about him quickly. I'm impressed with him, Cole. I mean, he's looked good. I know you have a pretty good rapport with him in this team with Waleed. And I think the guy's pretty good, Cole. And he's a pretty powerful dude. The problem with him is I think his takedown defense is going to be an issue here. Look at the fight with Formiga last year, Cole. Just taken down and beat up. You know, it scares the hell out of me, man. I don't like that, you know. That was not a good loss. He just got exposed, I think, with his takedown defense. He is dangerous. I wouldn't be completely shocked, Cole, of course, because the guy's dangerous. Look at the odds. They're pretty close. If this guy does pull off the upset, I wouldn't be surprised. But more times than not, I think Benavidez just fights really smart here, Cole, and just sticks and moves, mixes in some takedowns, and then he edges out a decision and becomes the new UFC flyweight champion. And I think it's a long time coming. So this is the best fight in the card by far. There's only a handful of really good fights in this card, and this is by far the best one. So it should be a really good fight. Go ahead, Cole.
With the fight, so say Benavidez does win. The problem that I think comes is he's beaten mostly everyone ranked the flyweight. Like the logical number one contender is UC Formiga. The problem is Benavidez has already beat him twice and knocked him out twice. Like, and that was his last fight. So like I don't even know who it's probably gonna be Pantoja or like Morano, someone like that. But
France or
Benavidez
Moreno.
has already pretty much cleared out a lot of the top 10 of flyweight, which is going to be tough for the UFC to matchmake him if he does become champion.
This division really sucks, obviously, as we know. But I am glad it's still around because I think there are some guys that are decent coming up. But yeah, you're right, Cole. I think Benavidez probably beats most of them. But, Pantoja still be a fun fight, You're right. I think for the UFC, it's probably better if Figueiredo wins because there's more like intriguing matchups that are fresh
You can do
matchups.
a Formiga rematch for the title, because yeah.
You didn't talk about this though, Cole. What about guys moving down? We never mentioned that. There are guys at 135 that could potentially move down. We didn't mention that.
Yeah.
Hasn't Cody Garbrandt talked about moving down one day? Hasn't he talked about that in the past?
I think he has.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Cejudo loses his belt at bantamweight, say in a couple fights, and goes and say Benavidez is still champion, goes back down to flyweight and has that rematch. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we see Cejudo fight for the flyweight title again.
Like, there's got to be someone in this top 15 at 135 that can cut the weight.
Casey Kenny used to be the LFA flyweight champ.
Can Corey Sandhagen make 125?
I probably doubt it. He's a big guy.
He is pretty big. But, I mean, he's just in such a bad spot, that guy. Can't even get a fight. Loses his fight against Frankie, can't get a fight. Not getting a title shot. So, yeah, I think someone could drop down. What about John Dodson? Could he move back down to 125? He's ranked number 12 right now, 135. He's not getting a title shot anytime soon.
And he weighed like 131 or 132 his past couple of weigh-ins.
What about Benavidez versus John Dodson, Cole? That'd be a pretty good fight, wouldn't it? So I think we got to look outside the box a little bit for this division. I think there could be a guy moving down or possibly someone signed that I'm not thinking about right now. All right, let's get into some questions here, Cole, because there's a lot from Chris Ledford. Chris, appreciate the question, buddy. Joanne Calderwood versus Valentina Shevchenko. What percentage chance do you give Calderwood? 5%. There's always the chance of an injury in an MMA fight. I don't see her winning any other way. Possibility of a cut stoppage or an injury. But otherwise, Cole, I can't see her winning. I think Valentina whips the floor there. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say under 10%. I think if they fight 100 times, I'd probably pick Calderwood to maybe win 1 or 2, just because fluky stuff happens.
It's MMA. Someone could break their leg, break their arm, or get a cut over their eye that they can't recover from. So that's the only way I see her winning. But I'm picking Valentina. I think she probably wins by TKO. I mean, she is just looking really good lately. Chris Ledford, I think Megan Anderson gets featherweight title shot versus Nunes. Felicia Spencer probably next year. I know you disagree with that, Cole. I think it's pretty much up in the air right now. Felicia Spencer, the fact she is co-main does give her the edge, but I think they want to see who's more impressive, Cole. They did this a few times where they'll put 2 different fights on the same card and see who is more impressive and then give them a title shot. What percentage do you give Paige VanZant resigning with UFC? Paige looking for minimum 150 to show 150 to win deal. The problem with Paige VanZant is I think her management really overvalues her. I don't think she's as valuable to the UFC as I think her management group thinks she is, Cole. I know she's like their arguments, well, she can make all this money on Instagram. Well, good for her. I don't think UFC cares about that. They let go of Sage Northcutt pretty easily, Cole. And, Sage and Paige were kind of like the two, rising stars 5 years ago for the UFC. And they already cut Sage. They let him go to 1. I think Paige probably does leave the UFC. I think she signs with Bellator. I think the UFC is going to be okay with that. They don't really care about her anymore. She's had her chances a few times to fight high-level fighters and has, quite frankly, not fared very well. So what percentage do you give Paige VanZant resigning with the UFC? I'd say that, 10%. I don't think she signs with the UFC. I think she goes to Bellator. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Bellator 1. I think it's probably under 25% chance that she resigns. I think the only way is maybe the UFC caves in and thinks maybe she is a star, but I doubt that's going to happen. So I'd say it's probably under 20-25%.
Breaking news, good stuff, y'all. Keep up the good work. Appreciate the comment, man. Really do. Chris Ludford, Nina Ansaroff mentioned that Amanda Nunes will retire at the end of 2021. Thoughts? I didn't hear that, but she's just dominating everyone. I think she'll continue to make some money, Cole. I know Tyson Fury's father said that he's going to retire soon. There's just too much money for these guys to make, Cole. They're still in their prime, and Nunes is still in her prime. I don't see her retiring, do you?
She just doesn't have a whole lot of fights left. I know her and Nina have talked about wanting to start a family, so
Nina's pregnant, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, so I wonder if maybe she'll just take a mom roll over and just because Nina's taking this time off, so maybe they kind of, once she has the kid, maybe you just let Nina fight and Amanda takes time off, because there's really not a whole lot of interesting fights for Amanda.
Yeah.
For her, so I wouldn't be surprised if we only see like another year or 2 of Nunes, but
yeah,
she can. I don't think. I think she can still dominate over the division for a couple more years at least.
Yeah. Chris Ludford, is Aspen Ladd next at bantamweight title shot, or is it? Yeah, the winner of that fight probably gets
Yeah,
title shot
Lad Payne. Yeah, I'd probably think gets it.
month, and I think agree with him. And he also asked to the UFC invest in a women's atomweight division or featherweight division. It's tough. It's a tough call because featherweight there's very shallow. There's not many fighters, but the fighters that are in it are pretty exciting. I think compared to atomweight. You think there's no finishes at strawweight, guys? Wait till you see 105-pound women fighting in the UFC. There's like no finishes in that division. I know there's a few fighters, but Jinh Frey, Cole, that's the number one atomweight in the world. She can't even make weight. I don't want to see that division in the UFC. What do you think?
I'd rather see atomweight than featherweight. I think you're going to see a lot of strawweight drop down. You're going to see like Michelle Waterson drop down. You're going to see the level of competition at atomweight would be way better, and there'd just be more fighters overall in the division to actually have a legitimate division.
I want to finish up with Chris's questions, then go to Marcus. If Tatiana wasn't injured and say Rose wins her next bout, who gets the title shot first versus Weili Zhang? I don't know.
Well, you're also assuming Weili beats Joanna, which
exactly. That's not a sure thing. And Joanna, she's already said she wants the Rose trilogy fight. I don't know if it's a good thing for her, but she wants it. Calor loses to Valentina is Roxanne next. Probably. Roxanne needs one more win, I think. And I know she beat Macy, but Macy was not like highly ranked. I know she was a good prospect. But yeah, this division, man, there's not much out there. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd like to see Roxanne fight someone like Lauren Murphy, Jessica Ai, someone like that. Maybe Lauren Murphy because Lauren Murphy's on winning streaks. Then you could just say whoever wins that fight.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, like Cole, like, ugh. Like, who wants to watch like Valentina decimate them?
Look at the rankings. Jessica Ai's number 1. You're not going to see that. Caden's number 2. You're not going to see that. Calderwood at 3 is getting it. Jennifer Maya's at 4, but Roxanne's not going to fight her because she's already fought twice, and Maya can't make weight.
This division.
And then you have Roxanne and Lauren Murphy. So, like.
Correction. Alicia Zapatella. Is she? Zapatella is number 1 atomweight. Was I wrong, Cole? Maybe I was wrong. What's her? She beat Kelly D'Angelo. Well, I guess she's actually making weight, but I thought that Jinh Frey was still number 1 ranked because she's a champion.
Yeah, I'd say Jinh Frey is.
But still, I think she's number 1. Either way, like I said, I'm not too interested in this division personally. I mean, if Ashley Zapatella is number 1, looking at her resume, Cole, 6-2, 7 of her 8 fights have gone the distance. She's not even going to finish. There's no finishes in this division. I don't think anyone wants to watch that person. I know finishes are not like the be-all, end-all, but I think for like blood-hungry MMA fans, they want to see people get knocked out or submitted, and I just don't see it happening at 105, although you make a good point about Michelle Waterson. She is very popular. I think the UFC would like to have her as a champion. They really like her. All right, Marcus has a question. Marcus, appreciate it, man. Always like when you tune in. What are your thoughts on the rumors that talks of Gaethje versus Conor are in early talks for a summer fight? What weight do you think would happen? What UFC pay would happen at? Well, I saw this rumor yesterday. I think Ariel floated it around. He said that there's possibility of this. It makes sense because Conor at this point is probably going to wait to see what happens with Khabib and Tony. I think at this point it's like less than 2 months away. And if there's an injury or weight miss, Conor's going to step in and fight for the title. But after that, Khabib, if he wins, he won't be fighting until like September, October, Cold. Like that's a long time for Conor to wait. For Gaethje, he hasn't fought since last September. That's a long time for him to wait too. Gaethje is just turning down everyone else. He won't fight Dan Hooker. He won't fight these guys. He wants a title shot or he wants Conor. So I think there's a chance this could happen. I'd love to see this fight. I think it's an exciting fight. It's a risky fight for Conor. It's a risky fight for Justin, but it's a great fight for the fans. What weight would happen at 155, in my opinion? What pay-per-view would happen at? I don't know. There's the pay-per-view in June, which has already been announced now, and I talked about this morning, Cole. It's going to be Volkanovski, Holloway, and Shevchenko, Calderwood. That's not going to happen. There's the pay-per-view in July, which is probably going to be Usman, Masvidal, and probably, I'm guessing, John Jones. But if it's not John Jones, then you could probably put Conor versus Gaethje on that one as the headliner above Masvidal, Usman, which probably doesn't make sense to most fans because it's not a title fight, but I think it would be a 5-round fight, Cole. Or they could put Jones and Blachowicz or Reyes on that July card, and then the August pay-per-view, they could do Conor versus Gaethje, and that'd be a great fight. So I don't know, Marcus. We'll see what happens. I'd like to see this fight, though. I think it'd be a fun fight. Both guys need to fight, though. Like, Justin needs to take a fight. He's kind of in this spot right now where he's just sitting and waiting. That's not paying anything. Like, you're not making money doing that. So, it's up to him what he wants to do with his career, but, Ali is a great manager. I know he's got the best interest of his clients in mind, but I think in this case, they're kind of making a mistake, Cole. I think they got to start taking a fight. What do you think?
I'm actually might be in the minority. I don't think this fight's going to happen. I think if it does, it's going to be at welterweight. I think Connor's made it clear he's not cutting to 55 unless it's for a title shot. Kavanaugh said they wanted welterweight. Which pay-per-view if it happens, it's going to be sometime in the summer, July, August. Just normally mapping it out. September is normally Abu Dhabi. I doubt they're because I think they signed a 5-year deal for September to be Abu Dhabi. I doubt Connor's going to go fight in Abu Dhabi,
Yeah,
especially because I also don't think it's going to happen either. Because the problem is, I think Connor, why risk it? Dana White's already said you're getting a title shot against Habib anyways. Why risk fighting? You could just keep on training and then just fight Habib in like September, October, November. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Conor Habib headline MSG in November. Like I wouldn't be surprised if that's the fight, or maybe they do Abu Dhabi in September, like Conor Habib.
yeah, but
I
here's
just,
the other thing. Sorry, go ahead.
I just don't
Finish
know
up.
if there's a point for Conor to fight because he's already guaranteed a title shot. Why risk fighting Gaethje? I just don't think
No,
it's gonna happen.
I think for Connor, he probably should wait, but for Gaethje, he's got to take a fight call. Like, you can't just keep waiting. Here's the other thing, Cole. How if Tony Ferguson beats Habib? How if it's a close fight and they do a rematch? Then what? You know what I mean? So there's just so many moving parts.
That's why nothing will happen until after April 18th. We're not gonna.
Yeah, we got to wait and see what happens in that fight. Last question for Chris. Would you consider interviewing Paige? I think Cole would probably better answer that question. Cole, would you interview Paige?
Yeah, I interview like almost everybody.
Cole would interview anyone, man. Anyone with a pulse, Cole's going to interview. All right, Cole, let's talk a little bit about UFC Auckland quickly. Who'd you score the main event for, by the way? I forgot to ask you.
I had a 48-47 Hooker. I had 135, but I thought,
Yep.
like, anyone saying it robbery that Paul Felder lost, that's not robbery. I said, like, if Felder won, I wouldn't be surprised if Felder won. When I went to scorecards, I basically thought Hooker won, but I thought the only clear round was round 1 for Hooker, and I thought the rest of the 4 rounds were really close rounds, really toss-ups. I thought Hooker edged it, but I would not have been surprised if Felder got the nod.
Yeah, I thought Hooker won 1-3 to 5-2. It was a close fight. I can't believe there are people out there saying this is a robbery. Unreal. Unreal. Not every close fight's a robbery. A robbery is like Diego Sanchez against Ross Pearson. That's a robbery. You know, this is not a robbery. Even the Jones and Reyes fight, I thought that was a Reyes win. I didn't think that was a robbery. It was close enough where it wasn't like crazy that you could give it to Jones. I know you gave it to Jones, but like Cole, seriously, enough with this robbery nonsense when it's like a super razor thin fight like this. Like this is a super close fight. Look at the judges' scorecards; they were very split on who even won the rounds. So it was a close fight. It was a great fight. Hooker call it Gaethje. I'd love to see that fight. I really want to see this fight. Oh, you want to see it?
Yeah, I'd love to see that one. And then on the air show, he said if Gaethje doesn't want to fight, he wants Poirier. Like either of those fights, I'm down for. Like,
Yeah, hell yeah, man, hell yeah. And someone on my Twitter today said, "Why not a rematch?" Because I wrote an article on MMA Ratings. I forgot to plug that, but I wrote an article talking about the possibilities for Dan Hooker. And to me, there's 3 guys you could fight. That's it. Only 3 different guys. Justin Gaethje, Donald Cerrone, or Dustin Poirier. Those are the only 3 guys he could fight. With Donald, that's a great fight. But I think Donald needs to get a bounce back win call at this point. Like he's lost 3 straight fights by knockout. If Hooker fights Donald Cerrone, Hooker's going to knock him out in the first round, in my opinion. Poirier wants Poirier for some reason really believes he's earned this fight with like Nate Diaz or Connor. I think he needs to start realizing that the UFC doesn't view him that way. They don't view him as a superstar. And I think that if he takes a Hooker fight, that'd be a great fight for the fans. There's this card in San Diego in May, Cole, that needs a headliner. Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker would be a great fight for that card. They've talked about Poirier headlining that one against Nate Diaz. That's not going to happen. That'd be a fun fight. And we should mention Nate Diaz. I mean, it's possible he could return, but I think it's only going to be for someone like Connor. I don't see him fighting someone like Dan Hooker. That'd be a great fight as well. Just looking at the rest of the card, Cole, Jim Crute, man. I mean, this kid's unreal. I think this guy could be a future contender at 205. What do you think?
yeah, I don't know why he was an underdog in this fight. I thought there was a clear. Yeah, I put Crute too.
Yeah.
I thought there was a clear. Like I didn't expect Crute to throw many strikes standing. I literally thought his game plan is what I thought it was going to be. I thought he was just going to out wrestle Oleksiak just because Oleksiak, we've seen that's his big weakness, his ground game. He can't stop the takedowns. And when he's on the ground, he doesn't really know what to do.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. His last 2 fights by submission losses. Anytime you get submitted by a Von Flue choke or a Von Prue choke, that's not a good sign, Cole. Crute is dangerous, though, man. I know the Serkinov fight, that wasn't a very good performance by him. But Serkinov's honestly pretty underrated by most people. And Krut looked like he improved a lot since that fight. So good for him. I think this kid's dangerous, man. He's only 20. He's 23, Cole. Turning 24 next week. He's young. Also on this card, just some other fights here. Carolina. Well, first off, the doctor did a terrible job in this fight. Like, she had a broken bone in her eye, and the coach was blaming the doctor. And I think there is some blame for this doctor. He just let her fight. I was watching it. I'm like, how are they not stopping this fight? Like, it looked like she clearly had some injuries. She's busted up, man. I don't want to see her fight in the UFC ever again, Cole. Pray frankly, man, I think she should retire. It's very hard to say a fighter should retire, but in Carolina's case, Cole, she is 34 years old. She is one of the oldest fighters in this division, and she's coming off 4 straight losses. That's it for her, Cole.
I think she's out of the UFC. Maybe she goes back to KSW and fights home in Poland, but I don't really want to see her fight again. She hasn't looked. She just looks like she hasn't evolved in the past 5 years, and everyone's kind of passed her.
She hasn't finished a fight in 6 years, and even in her whole career, she's only got 3 finishes. Like, that's not very good. She only wins close decisions now, and most of the time she's getting beat up. Just looking at the rest of the card here, Cole, I mean, there were some good performances. Riddle looked good. Lima looked good. Oh, man, Ben Sassoli. That's it for this guy, right?
Oh, I don't even know why he's in the UFC. But just because he was the underdog.
I make bad picks sometimes, Cole.
I only picked him because he was the underdog. I'm like, these are probably the 2 worst heavyweights on the roster.
Lima at least has KO power. This Sassoli guy, I don't know why the UFC is so high on him, Cole. Like, he overall in Zuffa, Cole, he's 0-2 and 2 no contests. That's going to be it for this guy. I don't want to see him fight in the UFC again.
Yeah, it's not good.
Just looking at the rest of the card, Zubair Tukhugov, he looked good, man. Like, I did pick him to win, Cole. I didn't expect him to get this first round knockout. Kevin Aguilar has been disappointing, man. We all thought he'd be like a contender, not at all what he's turned into. Jalen Turner looked good. Jake Matthews looked good. Emil Meek, you think they caught him, or do you think they give him one more fight? He's 1-3 now in the UFC.
I hope they give him one more, but stop giving him grapplers. Give him guys like Mike Perry, Michelle Pereira. Give them these fun fights. Like, why do they keep on giving?
Sounds like a great fight. I'd love to see that fight. It makes sense to me.
Like, why do they keep on giving these grapplers that Emil Meek? He's an excited guy if he can get in these brawls. Mike Perry can do that for him. Michelle Pereira can do that for him. Like, give him that.
Fights. I like those fights, Cole. I agree 100%. Great suggestions, man. Jake Matthews is pretty underrated too. He's won 5 of his last 6.
He has to be the oldest 25-year-old. I feel like this guy's been 25 for like years.
It's crazy, right? He made his debut at age 19. So, like, when you were like a teenager, he was right in the UFC, man, which is crazy, dude. Song Kenyon looked good. Very powerful guy. Kat Kara France looked good. Angela Hill looked good. And Priscilla Cachoeira looked good. Overall, Cole, honestly, it was a pretty good card.
It was actually it was one of those sneaky cards where you're like, there might be some good fights. That a lot of them ended up being really good fights. Obviously, the main event, a really awesome fight.
That was a good one too. It was a good card. Marcus has a question: who do you think will be the next UFC champ to lose their title? Let me just go take a look at the champs again.
Well, I won't say it outright, but I'm picking one champ to lose their belt next week at 248.
Really?
Yeah, I think one champ loses.
Well, you're obviously not picking Israel because that's your guy, so or maybe you are. We'll wait till next week to see who you're picking. Yeah, I don't want to spoil Marcus. Honestly, it's just going to spoil our picks for the rest of the year. I think that Cole's right, though. I think there's a good chance someone does lose next week. All right, let's just talk quickly about Bellator, Cole. I don't want to get too much into this, but Yaroslav Yamasov, title shot next for this guy or what? I mean, Douglas Lima is, I guess, fighting for the middleweight belt, but you think Yamasov maybe one more win than title shot? Like, this guy's pretty good.
Yeah, why was he not a part of the Grand Prix? Like, and they did like Ed Ruth and Neiman Gracie. Like,
alternate, right? Wasn't he? I think when he beat Eric Silva, that was an alternate fight.
Yeah, he should have been outright in it. Like,
yeah,
he's a legit guy. Like, I'd like to see him fight like a guy like Koreshkov next. And if you beat Koreshkov because he obviously has a big name, then you get a title shot. Because I still think he doesn't have that huge name, but Ed Ruth, it was like he had so much hype behind him in Bellator. Now 2 losses. His other fight was a split decision. Like, I think the hype's kind of toned down a lot on Ed Ruth lately.
He's had tough fights, man. I got to give credit to Ed Ruth. At least he's fighting tough guys. Unlike Michael Page, who just fights cans. It's embarrassing what they're doing with Michael Page. I'd like to see Amosov fight Michael Page. I think Amosov beats Michael Page probably. Cool. Takes him down and beats him up.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I know. Well, you messaged me when this happened. Tim Johnson knocking out Terrell Fortune. You're like, did you just see that? And I taped the card and I watched it after, and I was like, okay, I'm guessing one of these heavyweight fights ended up upset. Just the way you said it, Cole. I mean, this guy needed the win to save his job, basically. Terrell Fortune, Cole, fell in love with his striking, man, and got paid for it. Tim Johnson plus 500 underdog. Good for him.
Yeah, I think too though is Tim Johnson's a really good wrestler too. That I would have liked to see if he would have been able to stop Fortune's takedowns, but Fortune never even tried to go for a takedown. He got caught. Like I think Bellator was really high on Tyrell Fortune. I think they really wanted him to beat Tim Johnson. Tim Johnson spoiled those plans. It was good because he had a tough run Bellator. Czech Congo and then Vitaly Manikov on like 6 hours notice. That's a top 2 stretch run there.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like whatever. Miles Jury won his fight. Josh Hill. Oh, Keith Lee won his fight.
Yeah, he was a big underdog. He was like plus 350 or something.
Crazy odds. They popped up the day of the fight because I think there was like a switcheroo with the opponents. He was like a plus $300 or something. Keith Lee, crazy, right? Let me check what the odds were. Bellator 239. Keith Lee plus 350. Oh my god, that's crazy. Yeah, that's nuts. Sean Bunch is not that great. And those odds, by the way, Cole, were only up for 2 hours. So you have to jump in there really quick.
I don't get Bellator odds why they do them so late.
I don't know either. Bellator 240, quickly, let's go through this. Or I guess I should say Bellator Europe. I don't even know what it's called, Cole. But your boy Brent Primus looked good, man. That's the last fight in his deal, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he has 2 more. He had 3 fights.
Oh my god, are you serious? This poor guy. Get him out of this
contract. That's why he said he wants all 3 fights this year.
I'd like to see him fight the UFC. I know he's 34, I think, right? Is he 34?
Yeah, 34, 35.
In the UFC, though, man. He's good. He is really good.
Yeah, I think, like, give him the Chandler trilogy. Give him a guy like Benson Henderson. Why do they keep on giving him these no-name guys no one's even heard of?
I don't even know who this guy is. Who's that Tim Wild guy or whatever? I don't even know who that guy is.
Oh, it's pretty fun. When I was talking to him, I'm like, do you even know anything about this guy? He's like, they offered him, and I thought Bellator's joke. I thought this is just a made-up guy.
That's funny. Let's go to the other card, Bellator Europe. I don't even know if same card or whatever, second card. I don't even know what you want to call it. But yeah, Georgie looked good, got his submission win. He's an underrated guy, Cole, in Bellator. Aaron Chalmers lost to Austin Clem. It was a pretty big upset. Everyone was parlaying Aaron Chalmers, and he busted their parlay. And then Layla McCourt beat Judith Reese. They're acting like she's some superstar. Cole, I don't see anything special with this girl. What do you think?
She's just big over there in Ireland. I don't know. Like, you can't give her Cyborg or anyone half decent at featherweight. I think she loses. I don't think she's that impressive, but Bellator obviously thinks they see something in her.
I don't even know what to think about Bellator these days, man. Like, I've been watching Bellator since 2009 when they started under Bjorn and they worked the tournament format. I don't understand what they're doing these days.
I hate these tape delay. I didn't even watch that Dublin card. I'm like, if it's tape delay, if I have to, who covers this sport for a living, if I have to try to Google and figure out how to watch your card, I'm not watching your card.
That's embarrassing. That's a great point. That's embarrassing by them. And every time that someone asks, they just have some runaround answer. So, I'd love that there's another option for high-level fighters to make money, Cole, but I just don't – I don't believe in Bellator really much anymore. I just don't really believe in their product. And to be quite frank, I don't know if they last. Maybe a few more years, but at some point, I think Paramount's going to be like, we want to make a return on our investment. I don't really see them making that much money on Bellator. Like, you look at the gates and the TV ratings, Cole, it's not that great, man. And they pay their fighters pretty well, so – again, we want to hand in Bellator because at least they are getting a platform. These guys, they're paying them pretty well, and that's a good thing. But you're an investor, you're paying for this. Like, what are you really getting out of it? All right, last thing we're talking about here, and we'll get out of here, Cole. It's almost been an hour. We got to talk about the boxing match. And my boy Tyson Fury won. He looked great, getting that 7th round TKO. Good stoppage. Probably should have been stopped earlier, in my opinion, like a round or two earlier. Wilder's just getting tooled. News came out yesterday, Deontay Wilder, he's been blaming his costume. He's blamed his trainer, saying he shouldn't have thrown the towel in. He's probably going to fire his trainer. I don't think he's made a decision yet. But the costume thing he said was weakened his legs, which is the craziest excuse I've ever heard, probably. And he's exercising his rematch clause for the trilogy. Cole, I can't see it going well for him, man.
I was surprised he did the trilogy because I think he can get the trilogy whenever.
Yep.
Andy Ruiz is a PBC guy, same promotion Wilder's in. You should have done that fight. You could have done Fury Joshua, and then if Fury beats Joshua, he holds every single belt in the heavyweight division. And then Wilder beats Ruiz, probably knocks out Ruiz, then fights Fury with all the heavyweight belts on the line, and then it makes that fight way bigger. Where if Wilder loses to Fury, say Fury goes out and beats Joshua next, Wilder's not getting another crack at Fury. So like,
Yeah.
if I was his management, I would probably said, let's just get a win or two under our belts, and then we'll go after Fury again, because it's a fight I think the fans will always want to see. It's like the Conor Nate trilogy. Like, you can do it whenever, but I don't know. I don't think he should have done, because I don't really know how much adjustments you can make, because Wilder technical boxing is not very good. He just has that knockout power. And we saw Fury, he wasn't known for his power, and he put Wilder down twice and could have argued been three, but the ref ruled it a slip. But he just is a way better title boxer where he can just outpoint Wilder for 12 rounds, or even just do that to him again.
He just tooled him. And I think that putting on that weight helped a lot. He was really pushing around. A lot of clinch fighting, which obviously none of us really want to watch, but it was a smart game plan by Fury. But yeah, cool. If this fight happens in a few months, which it might, in the summer or something, or in the fall, I can't see Wilder winning the fight, man. But I was going to say, like, had he said, you know what, I'm not going to take the rematch, I want to hone my skills, I want to take some time off recover, and then maybe next year they fought in the trilogy, Cole, I think then it would have been a better chance. But I think the next fight, Cole, I don't see it going well for him, man. But it'd be interesting. If he does win, then it sets up a fourth fight, because there'd be 1-1-1. So it'd probably set up the fourth fight, which would be crazy. And in boxing, that's not really unheard of. Like, there's a lot of guys that have fought 4 times. All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Cole, before we get out of here?
No, I think that's all.
All right, cool. Plug your stuff, and we'll get out of here.
Twitter, @ColeShow91. This week I talked to Felicia Spencer, fighter picks for the main event. Other than that, everything's always on my Twitter.
You guys can follow me on Twitter @MMAdamMartin. Obviously, my home is MMAOddsBreaker.com. That's the home of the podcast as well. Definitely check out all of our staff picks. Me and Cole we're in the neck of things. We're in the thick of things right now. We're kind of neck and neck ourselves, but there's a few. Nick's doing really well as usual. He's up the front, I think. But we're right there, Cole, and it's only February, so a lot of time to pick fights. There's probably like 40 cards left in the series or something like that. So we have a good chance to win that, hopefully. Also, check me out at bjpan.com. Always writing there for them. And MMA Rings on that. I have an article on who should be next for Dan Hooker. Cole, thanks again for tuning in, for joining me today. And guys, thanks again for tuning into the podcast. Appreciate the questions. And I'll be back tomorrow morning for the Wednesday edition of the podcast. Have a good one, guys. Bye.